Is Bill Gates trying to save world hunger across the planet? Is he really have the best intention to take control over seeds? Or are there other agendas at play here? Now, today we're going to look at an open letter from over 50 organizations in the agricultural business in Africa. And they have come together to create the Community Alliance for Global Justice, particularly in food sovereignty. Now, this is a really important conversation, and I want to thank the work of Dr. Vandana Shiva, who we had here on this show doing a live interview. Go to earthheroestv.com to view that, but stay in this video, stay tuned with us, because we're going to be looking at this open letter that these organizations, these small group of organized farmers have come together to send a letter to Bill Gates, and we're going to see what it has to say, and we're seeing what Bill Gates is up to now. Hope you guys enjoy. So just recently, Bill Gates has announced on his foundation YouTube channel a goal keepers movement for climate change. Now, he's looking at the need for agricultural innovation, and we're going to explore today in this video if that need is really a desperate one to support farmers, or if that's going to take away the organic empowerment of growing, seeds through lineages, through ancient practices, benefiting the sovereignty of the people. So this is a really big conversation, and we're going to look at two main primary sources. Recently, Russell Brand has done a video on this. It's fantastic. I highly recommend you go. But we're going to go a little bit deeper because we want to explore, what is Bill Gates really up to? Does he have the farmer's best interest at mind? Or is this a movement, a creation for more profits at the expense of the farmers and the people? So I'm going to bring it up here. This is his recent YouTube video that he released on his Bill and Gates Foundation channel, which you can see has over 105,000 subscribers, and he called it Bill Gates on the Need for Agricultural Innovations. It's a 9-minute video, and we're just going to watch a small snippet of it and give you an idea on how he is looking to innovate agriculture through Africa.
Critical. Without that, you don't get there. But that's only one input to the system. We need to educate farmers. We need to get them credit. We need to get them fertilizer, and these things in combination are what drive that productivity. Climate change, of course, was in no way caused by these countries, and particularly not by these farmers. The goal of mitigation is a goal for really the middle income and rich countries. But we could say they owe it to these countries to drive this innovation. If you raise these productivities, that's far, far better than just sending food aid. In fact,
Okay, I'm just going to pause it there. And so far, we really got to assess this situation. You can see that this is a kind of global agenda that they're really making clear in the banner in the back there. This is global goals, global keepers, global movement that you can see Bill and Melinda Gates, Bill primarily is really pushing here. And I want to open up the conversation to explore what the people and the farmers and the organizations in Africa have to say about this agenda. But before we dive into that, we were to look at, just very recently, Bill Gates has suddenly become very well versed and well known, originally for computer software with Microsoft, but now he is suddenly somewhat directing the decisions on our health and on our food through agriculture. And so we really got to decide, okay, is he a doctor and an expert in that space to guide us on our health and nutrition and what we should be putting into our bodies or not? is he really a farmer? Is he an expert in agriculture? And should we be pumping the land with more fertilizers to drive up food production? So I want to open up the conversation to another area, which I think is going to really invite us into, a deeper, more meaningful conversation, particularly because this group of people have written an article which is available online for anyone to watch. It's called Common Dreams website, and they've come together to write an open letter to Bill Gates based on this movement that he is attempting to really drive forth right now. And so, as we're all aware, and I highly again recommend to go back and look at the interview that we did with Dr. Vandana Shiva. She is absolute powerhouse. Again, on Earth Heroes TV, we got the exclusive interview where we spent time with Vandana as she opened up around her book with Oneness versus 1%, and really looking at the impacts that Bill Gates has had primarily with the farming industry in India, where she's located. And I can tell you it hasn't had the best effect. So this is an open letter from farmers, again, from the Community Alliance for Global Justice and Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa. Now, this is written November 10th, 2022. Today is November 15th. So just 5 days ago. Very beautifully articulated letter. Let's read it together. It says, we, 50 organizations focused on food sovereignty and justice worldwide, want you to know there is no shortage of practical solutions and innovations by African farmers and in organizations. We invite you to step back and learn from those on the ground. So right away here, we can already start to see that the farmers are writing this very beautiful letter to articulate that they are okay and secure and safe without any intervention from, this very rich and profitable white man from another country who has no idea on the climate and the soil and the people in that local region. So already this is a beautiful opening to the letter. And to go further, this is what they really start to say. Let's read it. Dear Bill Gates, you were recently featured commenting on the global state of agriculture and food insecurity in a recent New York Times op-ed by David Wallace Wells, and also in an Associated Press article. In both articles, you make number one claims that are inaccurate and need to be challenged. And here they are challenging it. This is great. Both pieces admit that the world currently produces enough food to adequately feed all the Earth's inhabitants. Yet you continue to fundamentally misdiagnose the problem as relenting to low productivity. We do not need to increase production as much as to assure more equitable access to food. This is fantastic. So they continue saying, in addition, there are 4 specific distortions in these pieces which should be addressed. Namely, number 1, the supposed need for credit for fertilizer, cheap fertilizer, to ensure agricultural productivity. Number 2, the idea that the green revolution of the mid-20th century needs to be replicated now to address hunger. Number 3, the idea that the better seeds, often produced by large corporations, are required to cope with climate change. And number 4, your suggestion that if people have solutions that aren't singing Kumbaya, you'll put money behind them. So this is really important to look into, guys, because this is the local organizations, the local people in Africa on the ground who are now pressing back against the need for more fertilizers, for genetically modified seeds, for this idea that the Green Revolution was all wonderful, fantastic, and that any of these entities and organizations that are primarily funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have, the people in their hearts. When we can start to see that the people are speaking up and speaking out against this kind of movement. So we're really starting to see this unfold in lots of different areas now, not just agriculture, but we've also seen it with the World Health Organization and with the Bill and Melinda Gates as what the primary fund is to perhaps maybe look at other kind of agendas that are at play here. So let's continue reading the article of this open letter from these wonderful people who are primarily farmers who are on the ground. So they said, firstly, synthetic fertilizers contribute 2% of overall greenhouse gas emissions and the primary source of nitrous oxide emissions. Producing nitrogen fertilizers required 3 to 5% of the world's fossil gas. They also make farmers in important nations dependent on volatile prices on international markets and are a major cause of rising food prices globally. Yet you claim that even more fertilizers is needed to increase agricultural productivity and addresses hunger. Toxic and damaging synthetic fertilizers are not a feasible way forward. Already, companies, organizations, and farmers in Africa and elsewhere have been developing biofertilizers made from compost, manure, and ash, and biopesticides made from botanically compounds such as neem tree oil or garlic. These products can be manufactured locally and can be increasingly scaled up and commercialized. We're just going to pause there, guys, on this article. This is a profound article, and I highly recommend if you want to go and read this article for yourself, go to the commondreams.organization. I'm going to put all the links in the description where you can go and find all of these resources available. But just on this one point alone, I study syntropic agroforestry as well as permaculture. And what I love about these ways of living, these lifestyles, these ways of being, is that they really see things from a holistic perspective. So it closes the loop. And what we've done over the last 100 centuries is really introduce external outputs into a system which then have no way to go. So it's kind of breaking the loop of that circle, of that system, and depending on external industry to supply for the needs of a local region. And this is primarily what they're speaking to in terms of synthetic fertilizers, where they can actually produce organic, natural, really thriving compost and soil instead of introducing all of these external fertilizers, which has actually led to the destruction of the microbiome, of the organisms in the soil, of the life of the soil over time. And then although they have provided really short-term instant gains, long-term, they deplete the life in the soil. They deplete the animal species, and they become dependent on those fertilizers. So just this point alone, they're really highlighting that the agenda that Gates has with this movement is a big no-no. Now, let's continue on to look at the next point, particularly around the green revolution. Let's have a look here. So they say in the letter, the green revolution was far from a resounding success. While it did play some role in increasing the leads of cereal crops in Mexico and India and elsewhere, it did very little to reduce the number of hungry people in the world, or to ensure equitable and sufficient access to food. It also came with a host of other problems, from ecological issues like long-term soil degradation to socioeconomic ones like increased inequality and indebtedness. Your unquestioning support for a new green revolution demonstrates willful ignorance about history and about the root cause of hunger. So as you can see there again, he's starting to use words in his presentation that I showed at the very beginning of this presentation, that he seems to be misguiding the people to think that, what he has to present to the world is going to be the solution, but is really, in a 180-degree flip, is not necessarily having the biggest impact. Now, we talk a lot about this in our recent film, The Regeneration, which is available on Earth Heroes TV, as well as the interview, which I highly recommend you guys go and watch, available on Earth Heroes TV with Vandana Shiva. And here she is. This is the platform. It's simply earthheroestv.com. There's some great interviews by her, Dr. Vandana Shiva, and especially the recent movie that she did, The Seeds of Vandana Shiva. The trailer is available to watch, but I highly recommend to go and watch this interview with her. She really starts to highlight some of these impacts of modern day farming and necessity. So this is a quick view of the trailer that she features in of the new film Seeds of Vandana Shiva. She's written multiple books.
When you sell real weapons,
quantum physicist,
you control
and
arms.
neuroscientist, PhD
when
professor.
You control food, you
and
control
is really
society.
starting to shatter the illusion
But
by
when you
seeding
control seed,
freedom
you control
and empowering
life on
farmers to reclaim control. of their seed. Now, this is
Industrial
just the
farming is
conversation that
the
I wanted to open
single
up and start
biggest
to ask some of these deeper
destructive force
questions,
on the planet today.
particularly around, is Bill Gates really got all of our farmers in their best interest? Is he thinking about supporting and stopping world hunger? And is his mission that he's on going to support all of these claims that he's making? We can already start to see that there is a lot of credible people in the world, including the likes of Russell Brand, Dr. Vandana Shiva, and these 50 on-the-ground organizations for food sovereignty are coming together to say thank you, but no thank you. We can do this with local innovation, with local solutions. And I really start to see that, yes, we do have some global problems right now, but more and more and more, we need to focus on what is local to that area and how can we implement these simple, innovative solutions into our local connective regions. So let me know what you guys think. I'm really curious. Highly recommend, again, go to earthheroestv.com, check out some of the great films and interviews available there. It is a membership based. We only can function thanks to your kind donations, thanks to your support throughout this process. And ultimately, we want to be able to invite others to have a critical lens, to think for themselves, to really decide, is this really, the future that we want to move forward in, one that is of centralized control around the globe, where we have to do what they tell us to do, or do we want more freedom, more independence, more autonomy, which of course comes with great responsibility, but also more power in the connection with our communities. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for joining in with me, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.